In this video, we'll show you how to create a house in Livehome 3D from start to finish. We will begin with building the foundation and walls. Then we'll show you how to add a roof and other structural and decorative elements. At the end of the tutorial, we will create a landscape around the house. Project settings. Start a new blank project by choosing the House Scale template from the Project Gallery. In the new project, choose Settings from the menu. Go to the Project tab and set the convenient units, scale, and precision. In our example, we use the metric system and the accuracy of 1/100th of a centimeter. Click on the arrow to get back to the workspace. Import plan. The plan of the future building can be created starting from a blank sheet, but if you have an image with a plan of the house, you can also use that. To add an image to the 2D plan, click Import from the menu, then From File, and navigate to the file on your device. In the dialog that appears, choose to import as 2D image, or you can drag and drop it directly onto the plan. Now you need to scale the image to match the real measurements. The fastest way to do this is to use the Dimension tool. Click on the Auxiliary Tools icon on the toolbar and choose the tool. Use it to mark the points on the imported plan if you know the exact distance between them. Now tick the Affect Underlying Objects option in the inspector, and then enter the desired value in the Size field. In our project, we will use centimeters and enter the value of 1,331 centimeters. Done. The scale of the image corresponds to the real one. For convenience, change its opacity and lock it on the project tree. You may delete the dimension object as well. Building the structure. Now let's move on to the walls. You can use the Room tool to quickly create the entire rooms, or you can select the Straight Wall tool, as we will do. Set the thickness of the walls in the inspector. We used 50 centimeters for load-bearing walls and 10 to 20 centimeters for internal walls. Draw the walls, outlining the imported image of the floor plan. The thickness of the built walls and their position can be adjusted at any time. When you have drawn the envelope of the building, start adding the internal walls. Set the appropriate width and build them with the same tools, Room and Straight Wall. The height of the walls can be adjusted at any time. To change the default story height, open Settings, tab Project. The initial value is 300 centimeters, if the metric system is used. The height of the current story can be changed under the Building Properties tab of the inspector. Let's leave it unchanged. Under the same tab, change the foundation and elevation settings. The house is going to have terraces, so set the elevation to 45 centimeters and the thickness of the foundation to 100 centimeters. For clarity, now you can paint the facade in any color, but it also can be done later when you move on to the details of the project. Switch to the Object Materials tab of the inspector and select a material you wish to replace. Right-click on it and choose Select Identical to select this material on all the surfaces where it is used. Then select a new material in the Material Library and drag it into the inspector. Now activate the Floor Rect tool and build the terraces. To build the entrance, we will use the Floor Poly tool. Activate the tool and draw the outlines of the entrance. You may not be able to draw the lines accurately, but don't worry. To change the form of the resulting shape, right-click to open the context menu and choose the Edit Contour command, or double-click on the outline. Drag the points you need to reposition. Add or remove points using the context menu commands. To build the steps, we will use the Building Block Rect tool. This tool can only be found in the Pro version. As an alternative, you may utilize objects from the Shapes category of the Object Library for this purpose. Draw the steps with the tool and change their height in the inspector. For convenience, you can group them using the context menu command or the Ctrl-G shortcut. To draw the intersection in the corner, double-click on the building blocks and move the control points to change the shape of the steps. Now build the attic. Go to the Building Properties tab of the inspector and click the Add a Story above the current one button. You can also import images of the plan for the first floor and any subsequent one, but this time we will do without it. For convenience, Live Home 3D displays the story below the current one by default. If needed, this option can be turned off in the settings. Reposition the load-bearing walls and add the internal walls according to your floor plan. The roof. Since this floor will be the attic, you need to select all the walls and change their type to loft wall. Hold down the Shift key to select several walls at once. Now set the wall type to loft wall. You can build a roof in several ways. To add an automatic roof, switch to the Building Properties tab of the inspector and click the Add Auto Roof on the current story button. Users of the Pro version can draw a custom roof with the Roof Rect and Roof Poly tools. Let's create an auto roof. Notice that all the walls of the story should be of the loft type for the auto roof to appear. In the window that comes up, choose the Gable roof type. Here you can configure some other roof settings and rotate the roof. In the project tree, select both gables and change their type to Whole in the inspector. Then select both roof slopes and set their angle to 35 degrees. Select the entire roof and change its elevation value to 100 centimeters. Leave the thickness of the roof and overhangs unchanged at this point. Now let's add a dormer to the roof. You can use a ready-made dormer from the respective category of the Object Library. Or if you own the Pro version, you can also create custom dormers by editing the roof segments. Let's start with the ready-made dormers. Note that the two approaches are not equivalent, and you may not always be able to achieve the same result as with custom roofs. So drag a dormer with the appropriate roof style from the library and adjust its parameters: width, location, elevation, wall thickness, roof overhangs, slope angle, and type of soffit. Set the same type of soffit as on the other parts of the roof that you've built before. Go to the Object Materials tab of the inspector and apply the same materials for the gable and roof of the dormer as you have for the rest of the roof. You'll be able to change the materials later at any time if required. The Pro version users have the ability to edit roofs. Now we will show you how to do it. If your roof was generated automatically, you will need to make it editable first. Open the context menu by clicking the right mouse button on the roof and choose Make Roof Editable. In our case, you can go straight to editing by double-clicking on the roof or choosing Edit Contour from the context menu. Control points will appear. Right-click on the roof contour and select Add Point to add a new one. By moving control points, you can change the contours of the roof. Add as many points as you need, move or delete them. Now you have several new sections of the roof. Select one of them and change its type from slope to hole. As you can see, the facade adjusts automatically because the walls are of the loft type. The automatic adjustment is not possible with other types of walls. Select the slopes and change their angle to achieve the desired result. Return to the ground floor and build a roof for the terrace. Select the Roof Rect tool and draw a rectangle along the outline of the custom floor you built in the beginning. Change the type of the roof to gable and turn it if necessary. Using the Move Roof Up, Move Roof Down buttons, you can quickly move the roof to another floor. Let's leave it on the current floor. Change both gables type to hole, then enter the desired height value into the elevation field in the inspector. This will raise the roof above the ground. Change the materials to your liking and modify other properties of the roof in the inspector if needed. Additional structural elements. Now add support columns on the terrace and under the overhanging first floor. There are several ways to do this. The first one is to add a short wall using the Straight Wall tool and then change its type to loft. This method is suitable if the roof and the support column are on the same floor. The second way, which is only available to users with unlocked Pro features, is using the Building Block tool. This tool has many applications, from construction of technical designs to decoration purposes. Even furniture can be created from groups of blocks. Unlike loft walls, the block's height does not adjust automatically. You need to enter the height value. And finally, the third way, you can add a column from the Livehome 3D library. Columns are parametric objects. Apart from the dimensions, you can also adjust the size of the base and the capital of a column. Finally, let's add a balcony. It is added in the same way as the terrace, with the Floor Rect or the Floor Poly tool. Switch to the top floor, Choose the tool and draw a rectangle. The thickness of the balcony slab is determined by the slab thickness of the previous floor and can be changed in the Building Properties section of the inspector. Windows, doors, stairs, and fences. Once you're done with the construction of the walls and roof, start adding doors and windows. Open the appropriate section of the library. There are more than 2,400 objects in the LiveHome 3D library, but if you can't find what you need, we offer you many more for purchase. At the end of each category, you can find the More Objects button. Clicking on it, or on the Store button on the toolbar, will take you to the built-in store. Here you can buy additional furniture and materials. Keep in mind that some objects, such as the collection of 100 windows and doors, can be obtained for free. You simply need to follow LiveHome 3D on our social media channels. Choose a door and place it in the desired location. You can move it, change its dimensions in the inspector, apply different materials. To alter the direction in which the door opens, use the flip buttons in the inspector. The horizontal and vertical flip buttons reverse the opening direction accordingly. Add all the other doors in the same way. Now add the stairs. Do this in the same way you added a door. Find a suitable piece in the object library. Drag and drop it into the project. Adjust the size of the object and change the materials. Create the fencing on the floor above the stairs. You may use objects from the library or, as in our case, use the Building Block Poly tool. The fencing will be of a circular shape. With the tool, click on the plan to place the vertices of a shape. Then right-click on the shape and choose Edit Contour from the menu. Add more vertices or reposition them if needed. By dragging a round control point between the vertices, you can turn a straight segment into an arc. Once finished, set the height in the inspector and apply the desired materials. Use the same method to add windows. Change their dimensions, elevation, materials. When working with windows and doors, it's most convenient to use the 2D elevation view, which is available to users with purchased Pro features. The windows that you drag to the roof will change their angle from vertical to sloping. The skylight will be generated automatically. Now install railings on the balcony and terraces. Again, there are 3 ways to do this. First, you can assemble a structure from the building blocks. Draw them with the Building Block Rect tool. Change the dimensions and elevation in the inspector. Secondly, you can use ready-made library objects, just as we will do for the balcony and the terrace. The third way is using the curtain walls. This tool is designed specifically for building fences and other more advanced design solutions for your projects. We used library objects for the purpose of our project, but we will show you how the curtain walls work anyway. To begin, choose the Straight Wall tool and draw an arbitrary wall. change the type of the wall to curtain wall. If the house is raised above the ground in your project, then the curtain wall will be raised as well. If necessary, lower it down to the ground level. A distinctive feature of a curtain wall is that its starting and ending points may have different heights. Arbitrarily change their parameters. Now you can see the height difference in the walls. In addition, curtain walls, like any other walls, can be made curved, and they will maintain the difference in height. Right-click on the wall and select Make Arc Wall from the menu. Then set the required arc. To obtain a smoother or more angular wall surface, change the segmentation slider in the inspector. Materials. Now that all the designs are ready, let's start decorating the house. Materials can be found on the Material Library tab of the library. They are organized by categories. Materials can be dragged from the library and dropped onto the desired surface. First, let's apply materials to the walls and floor slabs. If you work with floor slabs, press the Alt key when dragging the material to quickly repaint all the surfaces. In the Tile Transforms section of the Object Materials tab of the inspector, you can change the size and position of the tiles the material is made of. Apply materials to the window openings as well. Pay attention to the area of the wall above the terrace. If you want to apply a different material to a certain part of the wall, you need to use the Wall Panel tool, which is available to users with unlocked Pro features in 2D Elevation view. First, select the wall in 3D view. Then switch to 2D Elevation view and use the Wall Panel Rect tool to draw a rectangular panel. You may use the Wall Panel Poly tool as well. Choose Edit Contour from the context menu. Then add and reposition control points to create a panel of the required shape. Set a minimum thickness to it and apply the material used for the lower part of the wall. It's convenient to use the color picker to copy the material from an object on which it already exists. Then apply the materials to the roof. For speed, you can select all roof sections in the project tree and then change their materials simultaneously in the inspector. Now try to create a new material. To do this, right-click anywhere in the Material Library and select New Material from the menu. Adding new materials is only available for users who own Standard or Pro features. Users who own Pro features can also access the Advanced section of the Material Editor. There you can apply a texture to your material and set its properties, as well as configure many other parameters. We will apply the newly created material to the terraces and stairs. Now we will finish decorating the house, applying the materials to the internal walls, floors, doors, and windows. When the house is ready, go to the Camera Settings tab and add a camera. There you can change the settings of the camera's height as well as the tilt and view angles. Under this tab, you will also find flyover videos or movie tracks if there were any of them created. Landscape. Starting with version 4.0, the Pro version of Livehome 3D offers a set of tools for creating and editing terrain. Let's create small hills behind the house. Go to the Site level. First, you need to draw the area of the future landscape using the Terrain Rect or Terrain Poly tools. This is a required step for future work. Then you can freely experiment with all the tools. Now we will show you how the elevation spline works. Draw a few arbitrary lines marking the boundaries of hills or pits. Open lines will form hills like ridges or hill ranges, and closed lines will form plateaus and mountains. When drawing, use smooth lines and try to avoid sharp corners, or they'll give the terrain an unnatural angularity. To close a spline, right-click on it and select Edit Contour. Then right-click again and choose Close Path. The contours of the landscape lines can be changed and edited in the same way as building blocks and panels. Next, set the height of the hills. Select splines one by one and change their elevation setting. You can add more splines, remove extra ones, and edit existing outlines at any time. Same as with other surfaces, you can apply materials to the terrain objects as well. Change the lawn style, for example. Now you can build a driveway. Select the Pathway tool and draw it in the same way you drew the walls. In the Object Properties tab of the inspector, change the width of the path and other parameters, the type and size of curbs and the type of joints. Paths can be laid not only on flat surfaces but also directly over the terrain. The next step is to change the materials of the path. To modify the shape of the path, double-click on it. You will see the control points. Move them and change the smoothness of the curves in the inspector. Now the only thing left is to add trees on the hills. Go to the Plants section of the library. You'll find house plants as well as outdoor plants and trees. In addition, we can offer you a collection of more than 300 models, including plants with seasonal changes, so you can plan the exterior of the site according to your favorite season. Drag plants from the library and drop them onto the plan and resize them if necessary. You can group them at your discretion. Sun and time of day. Click on the Light Properties tab. In the Environment section of the tab, you can set the orientation of your house. Also here you can change the time of day from early morning to late night and adjust the cloudiness. Voila! Your house is ready. Save it to your device or add the house to templates. Now you can find the house you created in the Custom Templates category in the Project Gallery.